Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hello, Suzanne. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting Life Unscripted. Thank you so much for coming today, everyone. We're grateful to have Suzanne Doyle-Ingram here today. She's going to share how writing a book can help you attract your ideal client. And guess what? It's not about book sales, as many might think. So, Suzanne, thanks for coming to Savvy today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we're so excited to have you. Before we get started, just share for our audience a little bit about why you got to working in helping businesses write books. How did that come about?
Oh, I love it. Okay. I started out, I owned a marketing agency, which completely collapsed in 2008, 2009 after the economy crashed. And I was freaking out, trying to figure out how I was going to make a living. So I started writing books myself. And then what happened was people started asking me, how do you do that? And I realized at one point that first I was writing books to make money. And then one day I wrote a book for women entrepreneurs that totally failed and nobody bought it. And I thought, okay, that's curious. What did I do differently here? But then I got contacted by a nonprofit organization that they had a grant to help women entrepreneurs. And they hired me to coach 2 women-owned businesses for 5 or 6 months, I think it was. And then I got a couple other contracts working, sort of doing more coaching and consulting. And I realized at the end of the year that I made more money on the coaching and consulting than I did with all book sales combined. And I went, that's where the money is. And I think that's what you want to know more about today.
So what I'm getting from you is that the book sales actually led to the real profit, which was the jobs that followed suit.
Exactly. It wasn't even the book sales that led to it. It was a completely different book that didn't sell at all. It was all about how women business owners make less money than men, and women business owners go out of business faster than men, and what we can do about it. So that really made me realize business owners need a book to position themselves as an authority or even just for credibility in their industry. And that can help you make way more money than book sales.
Wow. See, this is interesting to me because when I first got started with podcasting, I didn't even know what a podcast was. I heard I had just started a business. I was in finance for over 25 years in corporate America. And then I decided I'm going to branch off, do it as a separate consultant, and no one knows who I am. They know me as an employee. Now I have to present myself as an authority that you want to hire for your business. Totally different animal. So I had to go out there with the different strategy, and one of them was using podcasting. And in like that, what I'm getting from you is writing books is yet another way for you to get your message out as an authority and leader in what you do.
Absolutely. It's the best way, in my opinion. I think it's absolutely amazing because when you think about it, every single business owner nowadays usually has a business card. Unless you're under 40, I'm realizing most youngsters don't have business cards anymore. But let's say you have a business card, you have a website, you might have a banner that you use at trade shows or whatever. You have certain assets. Your book is, I think, your greatest asset because it really gives your reader a good idea of who you are and what you stand for. And especially if you write a book using my system, then you're going to have all these elements in your book showing who you are and what you stand for. So that anybody reading your book, if they choose to work with you, they're going to come to you pre-sold on who you are and what you do.
It sounds to me, this is interesting. It sounds to me like a sales page, but done in a different way.
It kind of is. Yeah. Well, that's where my marketing background and my business background comes into it because I have certain elements that all my authors need to include in their books, like credibility and vulnerability. For example, I always say you need that credibility so the reader knows that you know what you're talking about. So it could be, your experience or your education, but also you need vulnerability because you don't want them to think, oh, it was easy for her. Like she's just got it all. You want them to see that you're vulnerable too. And then that resonates with your reader. So I have all these elements that I teach people to put in their books. So it's very subtle though, very subtle.
Yeah, that's interesting because many, many years ago when I first got started, I wrote a blog called 101 Mistakes on What I Learned in Business. Now, this was business meaning corporate America. I made mistakes and here's what I learned. And it got so much attention. People were like, oh, this would be a great book. And the other side, as far as my family and friends were concerned, were like, are you crazy? No one's going to want to work with you. They're going to see all your mistakes.
Oh, no, they love it. You're real.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at here is that they can relate to you. They're like, okay, you've been there, you're out of that. Now you can help me get out of my mistakes, or hopefully help me not make them.
Yes, exactly. And it works so well because you want the reader to feel like they oh, she's like me 5 years ago or 10 years ago, or, we're the same. And I have all these techniques that I teach to make the reader feel like they're talking right to them. It's pretty fun.
Oh, well, now here's something I have a question about, because I'm not a good writer. I know it's not my forte. And I'm sure you have plenty of businesses come to you to say, you know what, I might have a book in me, but I know I'm not good at writing. Where do you start with them if they're not writers or see themselves as writers?
Well, that's a great question, because I don't work with writers at all. Every single one of my clients, I would say 99% of my clients, and I've worked with over 700 people over the last 9 years to write a book. Most of them are not writers. They're regular people. They're realtors and chiropractors and business coaches and entrepreneurs. And so what we do is we come up with an outline for their book. We don't have time to get into it today, but when we have their outline for their book, I just tell them, imagine that you're sitting talking to your ideal client. What is it that you say? Like, most people have this 1 hour thing that they say, put that in your book. So the reader really feels like, wow, this person, I feel so connected. I feel like they're speaking right to me, because they are. And then, you know what? An editor is your best friend. I mean, I tell people all the time, I honestly feel like most of my job is encouraging people and motivating them to believe in themselves and to believe that their message matters and that they matter. And I that's what I love about my job, is saying to people, you have a gift inside of you, and that every single day that goes by that you're not sharing that gift with the world, there are people praying for you right now and they can't find you. So let's get your book done. And I always say, it doesn't matter what your 12th grade teacher said about your grammar, because an editor will fix everything. That's what they do. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I like that you say that, because I think often when we have our greatest gifts and we're sitting across from our client, we naturally just have this conversation with them. I know I used to have sometimes meetings in Manhattan. I would meet a potential client and we go over, for what are your biggest pain points? Where are you hurting? How may I help you or not? Maybe I know someone who can better help you.
Exactly.
But we're having those conversations already, and you could just align that in a way that puts it into a book, along with your story and your vulnerability, that helps them connect to the real person inside of you.
Exactly. It works like a charm. And you know what? When someone reads your book and they're not the right fit with you, they just go away. It saves a lot of time. But
Exactly.
when they come to you, they raise their hand. They're like, hey, I want to talk to you more about that thing that you do. And then it's just makes the sales process a lot easier. And, one thing I teach people too is that they need to know what their average customer value is. And this is going back to, it's not about the book sales. Because most people that write a business book on average sell 200 copies. So you're not going to get rich from book sales, and you're actually going to spend a lot of time crying and freaking out and worrying about why my book isn't selling. So instead of putting your book on Amazon and then waiting for Oprah Winfrey to call, which is not going to happen, I hate to break it to you, it's not happening. Why don't you use your book as a tool? And, there's so many simple and free things you can do. Like, even most people don't even update their LinkedIn profile to say published author with a link to their book on Amazon. When people click on it and go to Amazon, they're like, oh my gosh, that's that girl. Like, oh, she's on Amazon. It's so great for credibility, right? Yeah. You can do all these free things. And then there's some paid things too, but just getting your book out there and showing that credibility. And then sharing your book, even giving it away for free, very carefully, not just like randomly sending it out, because that costs a lot of money, but giving your book out for free, maybe to even past clients who work with you, and saying, as you know, I build my business on referrals. I loved working with you, and I know you don't have a lot of time to read because you're super busy, but I just want to give you a copy of my book in case you might know someone who wants to work with me. Now, that has a couple things that happens. The person receiving the book goes, oh my gosh, you wrote a book? You're even more amazing than I thought you were in the first place. And they just like love you. And then they probably, maybe not, will read it. And then they might have it sitting on their desk. Like, a book is not like a business card that gets lost or thrown away. Nobody throws away a book. So it's sitting on their desk. It's on their bookshelf. It's in the backseat of their car, wherever they put that book, and other people will see it. It's absolutely fantastic. You can tell how excited I get about it.
No, I love that you mentioned this, because I think people, I had this one potential guest that called me, and they had such phenomenal content in this book that they wrote. And they're all about, I have to get this book sold. I spent over $10,000 creating it and editing it. And I mean, let me tell you, it sounded fascinating. But I needed him to send me a PDF, because I want to be up to speed when we actually have that conversation and not sound like a dope. if we were going
Yes.
to promote your book. So I
Yeah.
said, can you send me a PDF of it? He's like, no, this doesn't go away for free to anyone. I work way too hard, way too much
That's
money.
so funny.
And I'm like, but dude, I'm also giving you away my time for free. You know, this isn't.
And your audience.
It's not
Hello.
really free, actually, but yeah. So I was like, this isn't really free, by the way.
Oh my goodness. That is so rude. I hope you didn't interview him.
I didn't, because I said, if I don't have the material, I'm not going to interview you.
Yeah.
Sorry. He's like, well, your loss, not mine. I was
No,
like,
that's just
actually-
ridiculous.
actually, your loss, but okay.
Yeah, I know.
But see, that's just what you're talking about. Sometimes I can understand if you spend over $10,000 putting together a book, while you'd be like, it's all about the book sales. I need to sell this puppy.
But if he understood, what if he went on your podcast and he got one new client and he knew what his average customer value was? Maybe it's 1,000, maybe it's 2,000, maybe it's 5,000. It's way easier to get a new client than it is to sell 1,000 books or even 10 books.
Yeah.
You can't have the fantasy in your mind that a random stranger is going to come to Amazon one day, type in your topic, find your book out of the hundreds of books that are on the same topic, and then buy that book, have it shipped to them, read it, and then go, oh, I think I want to hire this person. That's like a needle in a haystack. It's better to be proactive and use your book as a tool to help put yourself right in front of people.
Yeah. And here's the thing you were talking about before, being selective, even about giving away books. We had some live events in Manhattan where we would interview folks in front of a live audience and then have a business networking event afterward.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah. And we got some, people, sponsors, and some authors who said, hey, I'll set up a table, have my books there, even give a couple away free as a contest.
Yeah.
But then later on, some people were like, well, I didn't make any, enough sales. I'm like, dude, it's about being a presence, about getting those people to recognize you, see you as an authority. So that's why I'm liking that you mentioned that being selective in how you use your resources and your book, putting it forth, not just throwing it copies all over the place. Because it does cost money.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've had authors do that before where they're like, I sent out 100 books. And I'm like, what? Just to some random 100 people? No. I mean, it's better to email someone and say, I'd love to send you a copy of my book, and always do that humble brag. I know you're really busy. It's the opposite of what most people do. Most people say, could you please do me a favor and buy my book? I'm like, no, I would like fire a client if they did that. I call that the pity buy. Nobody wants the pity buy. You're everyone who's going to buy your book.
Yeah.
Let's say 100 people buy it, because we're not going to go pie this guy crazy. Let's say realistically 100 people buy your book. They should be people that you don't know right now. Your family and friends are not your ideal readers. They're not your ideal clients. It's other people out there that don't know who you are yet. That's the whole point of it.
This is awesome. We could go on for hours, and I know you have so many ways to help clients out there and businesses. How can they get in touch with you, work with you today, get their book published? How can they do that?
Oh, I would love to hear from them. So my name is Suzanne Doyle-Ingram, and I'm the only one in the world. So they could find me easily by Googling my name. And I have a big group or big page on Facebook, Suzanne Doyle-Ingram Biz. And also my website is prominencepublishing.com. And there is a free training on there that is not one of these fake ones, like it's going to be on Tuesday at 11. It's right away. You sign up for it. And it's about a 45-minute webinar pre-recorded on how to write a book in 30 days. So if they're interested in getting started and kind of learning a little bit about my teaching style and that kind of thing, they could go to prominencepublishing.com and sign up for my free training.
Oh my gosh, I think I have to do that.
You're welcome to. You've got my number now.
That's right. Suzanne, thank you so much. I really appreciated you coming out here and sharing your great wisdom today on Savvy Broadcasting Life Unscripted.
Thank you so much for having me.
You betcha. If you like this episode, please share. To hear more Savvy episodes and Savvy Biz tips, go to lifeunscriptedradio.com. To become a guest or participate in paid sponsorship, email us at Christina@lifeunscriptedradio.com.